Okay, today we're testing out a 2 molar solution. It took 6 milliliters of sulphuric acid to actually get it to this stage of murkiness. So I didn't want to over sulphuric acid it just in case it changes the cell's results. Looks like we may have too much, it's bubbling. There might be, it was just the same electrolyte what was in the cell. I just added extra zinc sulphate and stirred it up, so if there was zinc at the bottom it's forming something there. And the voltage, it's been discharged already yesterday, so it's at 0.7. The charge voltage will be 2 volts and I'll charge it for an hour. I'll set the monitor and connect the charger. We should go up to 2 volts in about now. Alright, we're at 1.7 and increasing. It should go up to 2. We're 600 and something milliamps with a 2 molar solution. So we'll see if this actually increases the performance of the cell or it doesn't. Hopefully there's not too much sulphuric acid being added. Normally it only takes a couple of drops or there for a 1 molar solution to totally dissolve, but 2 molar, that's in 200 mils, that's 64.588 grams of zinc sulphate in 200 mils to make a 2 mole solution. I'll leave it there and see what we get. Scrapping some stuff for my new projects. I have a Fisher and Paykel smart drive motor for a generator. I have this treadmill, but I think it's either the speed controller or the motor itself what went. But what I'm after is the 2 rollers. I might be able to make a giant ball mill. And that one there, I don't know about that one, that'll probably just go in the bin. I'll see what I can salvage, but that one's a good score. I just got to get it out of there now. Alright, I'll be back. Okay, I missed that. I was pulling the treadmill apart, an hour and a half on charge, and we're at 1.6 volts with a 2 molar solution. Better put 100 milliamps in, and cut off voltage 0.5. Alright, starting the test now on a 2 mole solution. Okay, voltage is holding well. Alright, I'll get back and see how long. I've got a wash machine and the other wash machine to pull apart. 2 mole zinc sulphate must be working better. It's holding 1 volt at 33 minutes. That's not too bad for the cell actually. They normally only they drop down past 1 volt by about 15 minutes. So it's up double. Oh yeah, double the quantity. Stands to reason. I'll be back. Okay, back with the cell that was in 2 mole solution. 2 hours and 53 minutes on a 1.5 hour charge. We've got 285 milliamp hours and 241 milliwatt hours. And going by one of the other ones, the 1 molar solution for an hour and a half charge, 246, where that's 246 milliamps at 285 milliamps and 178 milliwatt hours at 241 milliwatt hours. So I think 1 molar may have an increase in the voltage over the duration of the cell if there's another 1.5 hours. Oh yeah, up here 334 when it was new and 242 for milliwatt hours. So we're almost on par with a new cell. So maybe 2 molar, maybe 1.5 molar perhaps. Split the difference, I'm not sure. I will give it another test tomorrow and see what happens. and see if we get the same results. I'm working on 2 other cells now. One's in the oven still, so I'll be able to do 2 in series and 2 in parallel, and we'll see what they turn out to be. Alright, until then. Okay, the third piece of carbon has got 53.31 grams. It started off at 49.38. And we're about 3 grams in that one, so heating it up to 100 degrees and then soaking it into the liquid works much better. So I'm gonna go give that one another go. I'll get it up to 100 degrees and drop it in so I can get it up to about 3 grams. Current's only 0.38 grams, so I'll stoke up the heat and absorb it in. I thought they would break, but they don't break when you put it in the cold liquid. Okay, trying out the cells connected in parallel and series. We have that on, where are we? Okay, we have that cell, negative to the positive, negative to the negative, positive to positive, negative to the negative, positive to the positive. So we have these 2 in parallel, these 2 in parallel, and those 2 there in series. And the voltage, well, I've got no electrolyte in these 2. Well, in that one, I'm mixing up a 2 molar solution to match the other. That one there is 2 molar already. We're at 1.6. My electrolyte should be stirred and ready. So I'll commence the filling. Okay, about there. Those 2 cells I just filled up then are dry, they're out of the oven. Okay, rightio, this one could do a little bit more. Okay, this cell here has actual 3 grams of zinc hexacyanide ferrate absorbed into it. So we'll have to let it, might as well use up all my electrolyte. It'll only dry out. Oh, I think I just spilt it. Didn't want to do that. But I was trying to keep everything clean. Okay, let that sit there. I'll come back in 5 minutes, let those 2 absorb all the substances they can. Or we'll do a short circuit, put on the 10 milliamp range, connecting the lead. We're at 340. They're still sort of wet. I mean dry, I should say. So just let that settle. We'll come back and do a short circuit in about 5 minutes. Okay, the cells have been soaking for 10 minutes. We have negative to negative, positive to positive, negative to negative, positive to positive, and negative to positive. And that should be our 2 cells in series and 2 in parallel. I'm going to hook it up to the data logger. I will fire up the data logger. Yeah, we should have a voltage when I connect it. Okay, we've gone up to 1.995 volts uncharged. I'll just set the milliamp load just in case I forget the next time. Put it at 100 and our cutoff voltage will be 0.5. Okay, I'll set monitor. I have the charger set to 4 volts. Okay, yeah, we shot straight up to 4 volts instantly. Normally it doesn't sort of do that. Wonder if I got them connected right. Yeah, must have. They're about 1 volt each, 1.5 when charged. The 2 new cells could be still a bit dry, so we won't expect too much of them. And they're still bubbling heaps. Alright, so I'll about an hour and a half or something on charge. I do have to go out at 2:30, so it's 1:39 now. Alright, I'll be back. Okay, we're at 1 hour's charge. It may not be enough. The 2 new cells may need soaking overnight. So I'll disconnect the power and connect the other end of the data logger. Hopefully the data logger hasn't just dropped out. It could even need a longer charge too, now being 4 cells connected. Okay, we're at 3.2 volts. I'll disconnect the monitor. Alright, we're set for 100 milliamp load. And here we go. Alright, we're at 2.8 and dropping fairly quickly actually. But there's a lot of bubbles coming out of the 2 new cells compared to the ones that have been sitting in the electrolyte. The electrolyte zinc sulphate 2 mole solution now, and the separators aren't totally saturated yet on the 2 new cells too, so that could be going against us. But it looks like it's holding quite well. I think the voltage drop is slowing down a bit. Maybe. No, it's about constant. Alright, I'll get back. Okay, we're at 1 hour and 24 minutes and we're 1.698. Oh, 1.7 volts. 141 milliamp hours and 285 milliwatt hours with 4 cells connected, 2 in parallel and series. Alright, I'll be back. Okay, a 3-hour update. We're at 1.2 volts, 301 milliamp hours, 521 milliwatt hours, and when the cells were in series, the 2 of them, at 3 hours 11 minutes, it was 0.8 volts, so we're sort of higher in voltage. So having the extra cells in parallel is a difference, but not a great sort of difference. If you can sort of, it could mean a greater difference, I'm not sure, it just doesn't look like a great difference. 1.2 to a 0.8. But we'll see overall how it goes, and it was only an hour's charge, and maybe you have to increase the charge because I'm not sure if all the cells would be receiving the same amount of voltage when they're charging. I'm not sure how you'd even test that. Anyone got any ideas? Leave a comment. I'm testing each cell's voltage while it's being charged. Alright, I'll be back later. 4-hour update, or 12 past 4. 4 hours and 12 minutes. We're at 1 volt, holding strong. The voltage is actually holding pretty long now. And we're at 422 milliamp hours and 663 milliwatt hours. Average voltage 1.5. Alright, I'll be back. Okay, we're at 6.5 hours already. 656 milliamp hours, 873 milliwatt hours, and it's probably got another 2 to 3 hours before it goes down to the 0.5 volts. Right, might have to put the load up to 200 milliamps next time. So actually it's functioning quite well, and the cells aren't they still got bubbles, those ones, they're all clean. They're the two old ones, but the two new ones are still laden in bubbles. Not a bad run. I'll be back. Okay, cell ran for 9 hours and 47 minutes at 1068 milliwatt hours, 972 milliamp hours. Not a bad run for a half an hour's charge. I don't know if I'll get time to charge it up today unless I do it now before I go to work. But that might be for like charging for longer than 2 hours. I'll have a think about it. So not a bad run, and the voltage bounced back overnight, I guess, because I left it running. Got to 1.3 volts. Yeah, interesting. And average voltage is 1.1 volts. Alright, I'll see if I can charge it up another time, a bit longer. Okay, the cell's been, the battery has been on charge for 4 hours and 7 minutes. So we'll set a 100 milliamp load. And cut-off voltage of 5.5 volts. And we'll start our test and see if we can actually beat our 9 hours and 40 minutes from the last one. Okay, data logger's getting a workout. So it's holding its volts, 2.5, dropping slowly. Alright, we'll let that run and we'll see how long we got. Okay, we're at the 3 hour mark. We got 301 milliamp hours, and yesterday's discharge at the 3 hour mark, going by the video, it was 301 milliamp hours, 527 milliwatts, which we just clocked over 528 just then. Average voltage was 1.73, we're sort of up there, 1.75 on this run. And the current voltage, 1.3 here, at 3 hours yesterday was 1.285. So we got slight improvement, so maybe the charge time is only about 1.5 hours and or 2 hours maximum, going by those values. So we'll compare the next one, and I'll be back then. But it's looking good. Okay, I've just sort of noticed the two new cells still have bubbles, where the older two cells are completely bubble free. So they still might need to be aired out over time to function a bit better maybe. It's the same batch of electrolyte, and they're a little bit murkier. I think some of the zinc hexacyanoferrate has came out of the cells by the colouring. That would have been on the outside of the carbon, I'd imagine. Not so much in that one. That one's clean. That one's sort of cleanish, sort of. It's got a tinge to it though. 4 hours and 16 minute update. We're slightly higher in voltage. It was about 1.0 something volts last time at 4 hours and 12 minutes. So still maintaining that fraction higher, but not much. 0.1 of a volt. Okay, 6 hours and 33 minute update. Last time, the last run of this cell at that time, the milliamp hours was 656, we're 657. Milliwatt hours were 873, and we're 900 milliwatt hours. Average voltage was 1.33, and we're 1.37 in this one. And the voltage was 0.758. We're still slightly above that voltage from the last run of this cell. So it's sort of still holding its increased capacity slightly. Only very slightly now. Alright, I'll let this run and we'll see what we get. Okay, this time we only got 9 hours and 26 minutes out of it, but our milliwatt hours is up slightly, but the milliamp hours is down slightly, and with 1.15 it was 1.1, so we only slightly increased on that extra charge, so probably somewhere near 1.5 hours to 2 hours is maximum for that. And I have some stainless mesh I'm going to put around that first cell, or the second cell, that one where it had blemishes around the contact of the stainless. So I'll try that later and see how that, if that actually increases that cell's performance, having more contact around the carbon brick. The magnet doesn't stick to it, but it might be just too thin. I'm not sure if it's actually 316, but it is a stainless. It's one of those, you get them in the garden shop for camping toasters. You put they're a sandwich, you put your bread in there and you toast it over fires. So that's what that stuff is. So alright, I'll get that done and see if it increases